soft, like 1.5 reed, and some people like that because of the quickness. I think that's too soft because sometimes for intonation and stuff, it's too soft to have anything to blow against. But I like what's kind of become my somewhat signature sound for when I do jingles and stuff, especially, and some of the pop stuff. I've done most of Jennifer Lopez and John Legend and those guys' albums over the last few years. I like to have enough edge on it that I can get the sound to break away. So it's a real fine balance of having the reed soft enough that I can get the sound to break away when I want to push it, but hard enough so there's some resistance there for me to push against, and it's a real fine balance. Like that type of sound versus if I was to have had any softer of a reed, I would have gone boodle and it would have been like thud, and it wouldn't have spoke for me. And if I would have had a harder reed, I wouldn't have been able to get the to where it's really, the sound is really, you know, it's basically splitting to the point where you're creating like a multiphonic without doing, you know, a fingering off of the lowest note of the multiphonic or the harmonic series. So it's a different way of playing, and I do have a video about it up on the Rico website, but it's something that I think as a saxophone player, you know, to me, and I think it's like kind of a brotherhood and sisterhood of sorts, you know, because how many people, like when you're walking down the street, you know, are really geeked up about saxophones? You know, you find some, but it's a lot easier. Me living in Chicago, it's really easy. It's a lot easier to find like maybe a Cubs fan or a Sox fan or a Bears fan or whatever than it is. Hey, do you play saxophone? People just look. No, do I look like I do? You know, so to me, when we're all here together, you know, for something like this, this is to me a real special thing, and I like to at least, you know, hear different opinions about stuff from all of you, as well as say mine. And my opinion when it comes to saxophone is, while we maybe need to, especially jazz saxophone player, while we need to definitely draw from a lot of history and tradition and whatnot, I think what kind of makes us all special, in addition to the fact that we all play saxophone, is that we have the ability to, if we want, to really be an artist with it and really make our own stamp on it and our own sound and our own phrasing and our own voice and how we want to present it to the other saxophone players in our community, as well as other musicians, as well as the world in general. And I remember a few years ago, several people feeling, I stopped playing on a darker setup, and I stopped playing on my Mark 6 tenor, and I had an 82,000 Mark 6 tenor that I thought I'd never stop using. I used it on my Live at the Green Mill CD with Randy Brecker, and it's just a great saxophone. And this is a little bit brighter sounding horn than that. And I remember a lot of people were like, you know, what are you doing? But I was hearing in my mind a brighter sound, and something that I felt like I was trying to pursue versus maybe like, you know, trying to sound like a Mike Brecker or a John Coltrane or emulating those guys, which is what I had been doing prior. And I do think, you know, in finding your own voice, it's always important to emulate people you really respect and care about. But it's also important to try to do your own thing with it. So for me, it was trying to develop kind of like that split sound like you hear maybe a David Sanborn or somebody do on alto, but getting it to where I could really do it on tenor. And on my newest CD, I did I did a song, My One and Only Love, which is a famous standard, but it's one that John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman made famous, you know, in the 60s. And to me, I didn't want to do that song, even though it was my favorite song until now. I didn't want to do it because now I finally felt like I could put enough of my own spin on it. And then, like, you know, I'm reading reviews of it from Downbeat and other magazines, and they're saying that and they're agreeing with it, and it makes me feel good. I want to play that song, just a melody for you for a minute, and then I want to talk about it.